You're a few. I'm December, so you're a few months older than me.
That's the reason why we couldn't make this shit happen. Right.
When you're over 40, you should just stick to landlines and stamps.
Like, I got a razor. I got a razor somewhere. You know, like the art shit. Like that's the thing. That's the thing that works.
I should have worn my clear glasses like you. We could have been twinsies because I just shaved my head too, so we got the same shaved head. We could have had plastic clear glasses. I should go get them. Then we.
And then we look like fucking idiots. That's great. So let's do it. You know, I've spent the last 10 years trying to look like you, and I realized that you outstyled me again.
You're the good-looking one, for God's sake. Are you crazy?
With the hat and shit.
You're like ripped too. What people don't know about Palazzi is that he's not small. He's yoked. He's got like big shoulders, and like I remember I was talking to Cecilia about this, my wife, when you picked us up in like a Hummer in Brooklyn like 9 years ago, and we went and got pizza, and you were just like,
that was a Jeep, dude.
That was a Jeep.
It's just like, because you were tiny, so everything looks big to you. But that was a Jeep. That wasn't a Hummer.
When you drink all day, it's hard to remember details. You just make stuff up as you go along. Well, it's good to see your smiling face again after all this time. For the people that are just joining us, Nick Palazzi and I have been friends for a long time, but we haven't done any business together in years because I've been working distribution and doing other things. So this is our big gathering, our big, what's the word? Reunion. God, for fuck's sake.
Reunion, yeah. David Driscoll's back. You know that I got some messages from people were like, oh shit, Driscoll's back in the business. This is awesome. Like, you know, there's a lot of love out there for Dave Driscoll, man.
That's very sweet of everybody. That's great.
No, it's true. I'm not making it up. It's real.
You should look at the 5 trolls that read everything that I write and tell me how I'm wrong and then how I don't know anything. Man, those are the only 5 guys that I hear anything from. I always use your quote. Nick Palazzi sent me the funniest text where I said something about whiskey, and Nick's sarcastic answer via text was, "Whiskey should be free, asshole. Don't you understand that people deserve this and everything should be free and nobody should ever have to pay extra?"
It should. The customer deserves everything, dude.
That's right. It's the revolutionary mindset. In any case, I don't want to just use this time to get back to the old jokes and the old rhetoric. Let's talk about something that these people who are watching right now might be interested in, and that is definitely what's going on with tariffs in your world. Some people had heard about 25% wine tariffs, 25% tariffs on scotch and single malt, but now it's 25% tariffs on Armagnac and Cognac, right?
Yeah, great brandies from France and from Germany. So that was a nice a nice fuck you on December 31st at 8 a.m. EST. You know, like 2 p.m. French time when everybody was like, you know, putting the champagne in the fridge. There was this news of 25% tariffs. So that sucks. That's not it. It wasn't.
Oh, that's a good frozen spot.
Okay.
Oh.
No, you.
Sorry, I thought that was refresh. That was to flip my camera to my living room. You froze there for a second.
Well, you got cats. So that's good.
So, all right. So let me ask you this though. Explain what that does for the everyday consumer, because I think the misconception is that the retail prices are going to go up 25%, but that's not really what happens, is it?
No, not exactly. Just because so what happens is this is an ad valorem tax. So it means that if I'm buying a bottle, if I'm paying the producer €100, well, let's make it simple, like $100. So I'm buying a bottle to a producer for $100. When that produce gets to the port of New York, the U.S. Customs is going to look at the invoice, and be like, okay, well, you owe us an additional $25. So now, all of a sudden, that product that was $100 for me costed me 125. And so the thing is, because of the tiered system that we have, the that's going to trickle down. Like typical margins will apply on each tier, from the import to the wholesale to the retail. So prices will increase. Will increase for sure. Have increased. Now, obviously, like the importer is trying to, like us as an importer, we're trying to work with the suppliers, see if they can do a little something, and try to kind of make it work so it's not like too steep.
Right. This is the fucked up part, though, that I want to talk about, which is it's not like everybody's just taking this lying down. What ends up happening is the desired effect that the government wants, which is to punish those countries. So it's because they don't want to move the retail price, because they know that the everyday customer isn't going to pay 40% more for the same thing, because it won't be 25 at retail, it'll be 40 or 50%.
No, it's going to be more than 25%. Like
yeah, it's going to be like 40%.
It starts at the 25, and then and then it increases as it passes along the three-tier system.
Right, but to your point, you're going back to your producers, just like I am. I'm doing the same thing right now with Scotland, because I'm trying to buy casks direct, as I'm getting all my old contacts back together, and I want to buy single malt casks. And I'm going to them saying, listen, like there's no way I'm going to be able to sell this product with the 25% tariff, so we're going to have to come to some sort of agreement, and they have to eat it. Like they have to basically not sell it for as much.
But the thing is, this will work with medium-sized business.
Right.
The tiny guy is selling you the stuff as 37 euros. That's 37 euros. Like it's not going to be 22 euros. It's going to be 35 euros. It's 37 euros. You buy it, you don't. They don't. So it's the same. It's the same to them. I mean, obviously they would rather you buy it. But that there's a lot less wiggle room when you're looking at when you're dealing with like smaller small makers, small distilleries. I'm not saying that you're not dealing with smaller distilleries, but you get what I'm saying. Like a dude with a garage and has like 4 casks. It's if he said it's 55, if it's 55 euro a bottle, it's 55 euro a bottle.
Yeah, well, he's not worried about protecting his widespread national American retail pricing, because he's not in 50 states. He's in maybe like 5 stores in New York that you've put him in. So, it's basically up to you at that point to eat it. Whoever's going to eat it in this case is going to be you.
Yeah. So essentially, there's like what that thing does is that it doesn't. Because that 25% tariff is there's a threshold in price, right? So when it comes to brandy, so it's brandy that are over $38 for a proof gallon. So basically, translate if you translate that into like a 750 ml at 40% alcohol, it's stuff that's more than that it costs more than 18 euros a bottle. The cost, what you pay to the producer in France,
right?
And about like $22. So that's if you're above the threshold, then you're fucked, and you're gonna get hit by the tariffs. So what basically means is that NEBS, no problem. Like this, like the stuff that moves, like the big corporate stuff, it's fine. Like they're below the tariffs. They're not being hit. The products that are being hit are the kind of stuff that you and I move, and essentially a lot of the producers that we work with, they're going to look at other markets. They're going to look at increasing their sales in France. They're going to what's happening is the people who are being penalized here is us. Like as a US business, Brooklyn based and all the good stuff. Like just simply because. If you want to buy a single cask Armagnac, Cognac, Calvados from us, sure, we can do that. It's a bunch of our business. Except that you obviously don't want to pay 25% more now, 30% or 40%. So what are you going to do? You're probably going to wait, right? But you're going to wait until when? Well, we don't know. 6 months, 9 months, a year.
Right.
I don't know how long. So essentially, people are like, well, you know what? That's cool. I still intend to buy at some point, but like, let me buy, bourbon, right? Right now, and so it's just it, it's just business we're not making. And,
Right.
and to be very honest with you, like we don't necessarily need to be selling less these days. It's not like last year was our best year ever. So it's we could use those sales that we have to delay significantly, and hopefully we'll make them at some point. But like it's not helping. It's not penalizing France.
No, but let's talk about what you have to do. Like if you're looking at your 401k or your stocks and you see that tech stocks are tanking, or that the stock market overall is tanking, the S&P 500, whatever, people take their money out of stocks and they put it into bonds, or people redistribute their assets. So something that you've done pretty well over the last few years is redistribute some of your focal points so that you're not 100% reliant on France. And you've got things like Cinco Sentidos and Netta and like other, agave spirits in your book. So let's talk a little bit about those, because to me, those are some of the most exciting things that you have right now that I'm super pumped up about. How did you get, hooked up with those networks?
I mean, it's much like you, I guess. It's like when you do one thing, you keep at it, you don't deviate from the course. At some point, you enter circles, so people know, like in some small circles, like people know you exist. You meet the right people at the right time, and obviously, like there's also a sense of passion. Like, you dig what you do, and I'm the same way. So because of that, like you want to explore, you end up traveling, you end up like I love brandy, but I'm curious, so I want to drink other stuff. Like you and I like years ago went to Mexico together. Like it's and I was just like starting to play around with tequila.
Was that the first time you had been to Oaxaca when you and I went together?
For business, yes.
Yeah.
Like I had vacation there, it was the first time for like distillery tours. So essentially, as you focus on the same kind of products, but in different areas. Like I'm just curious. I want to drink stuff. Like I'm not just drinking cognac or Armagnac. I drink a ton of wine. I love agave stuff. So little by little, it's not like it's not like there's never been a goal of like grow the portfolio tremendously. But just things happen, and when they're the right thing, you're like you feel it, and you're like, oh shit, that stuff's really good. Those people are nice. Let's make something happen.
What do you feel about the state of agave right now in terms of this is like my joke that I tell people is everybody likes to talk about mezcal, but nobody likes to drink it. Like I feel like when I taste mezcal, especially the stuff that you're bringing in, like the Netta stuff was fantastic. We have all the stuff. I brought in a ton of SKUs to Mission. All the Cinco Sentido stuff is obviously great. I feel like people are interested in the idea of it, but when it comes to actual consumption, it's difficult for them to wrap their heads around a $120 bottle of wild agave mezcal. What have you done to sort of open those educational gates to people and get people excited, or are you sort of reacting to demand?
I don't think we. I would love to react to demand. I don't think we're there yet. Whether it's brandy, whether it's agave or rum or whatnot. I think that we approached people like essentially. It's been 10 years that I've started the business. It's been 10 years that I've been in business, and now there's a small amount of people who know that we're not bullshitting.
Right.
And then we have like decent quality stuff. So then when these people, as we created the relationships over the years, these people are going to they're going to tend to trust us. So now they say, well, we tried your cognacs and they were quite nice, and those Armagnacs are good. And now they have agave. All right, I'm listening. Okay, it's not the cheapest agave around, but most likely if those guys are carrying it, there's probably a reason. So that's we're surfing on that.
So you're using the credibility that you have from selling things like Guillaume Pantereau and like the Nicolas Palazzi stuff to basically say, hey, you've trusted us with these amazing cognacs and these other things, so trust us when we say that we're doing the same thing with agave.
100%. There is that, and the fact that in the end, we over the past 12, 18 months, we sort of said, like you and I know that people seem to be a lot more interested now in like small batches, single barrels. Like there's something that it existed like years ago, sure. Like we've been picking casks since the beginning, except that we were not saying, like I was bringing a cask of Armagnac. I wasn't saying like we picked a cask, but we did pick a cask. We had picked a cask, but it's just like it wasn't worded this way. Like so that stuff existed, but now over the past like 12, 18 months, it really has been a thing with brandy. And we just went to, like, we go to the people who trust us and bought single cask brandies or Calvados or whatnot, and we said, hey, you want to try the like a single batch distillado? See, and people are like, well, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And send samples, explain, taste, and people are like, oh shit, that stuff's neat. And so that is like little by little. That's how we're getting there. But there's like the demand is not high right now. We're selling to the quote unquote early adopters, I guess.
Yeah, and to the initiated.
And honestly, like the price point is high. Like we don't have anything at $20. So it starts retailing around like 110. So that's we're not trying to be expensive just to be expensive. It just happens to be the price of the thing. So it's not mass market in the sense that it's more expensive.
Well, what's interesting is that there's a certain amount of credibility that comes when you can align yourself. I mean, I'm doing the same thing at Mission. So to be totally transparent, I'm friends with Steve Mathiasen, who makes Mathiasen wines in Napa. I'm friends with Jasmine Hirsch, who makes Hirsch Pinot Noir in Sonoma. Jasmine Hirsch is going to be on later this month. Steve Mathiasen was on before. I'm not stupid. I'm aligning myself with like really, really passionate winemakers who I know have credibility within the industry, so that it will lend Mission Wine and Spirits a certain credibility when people see, holy shit, these winemakers who I know are really well respected are taking the time to work with Mission. That must say something about Mission's credibility when it comes to choosing great wines. You've done the same thing by aligning yourself with La Encantada, with Equipo Navazos. Talk about how the Rum Project came along and how you hooked up with what is by far the most sort of cultish and boutique-y sherry company in Spain.
Again, it's more nothing has been planned, so it just happened because of genuine curiosity and interest for stuff that we drink. So it simply it's all in all, like I owe like a friend of mine who's fairly well known in the wine world, who has a cool podcast named Levi Dalton, who years ago, maybe like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, probably did the first sherry dinner in New York with professionals, and I randomly was invited. Like I wasn't a professional, but I was like, all right, cool, dude, I'm coming. I don't know what sherry is, but I'm coming. And everybody there had it was a BYOB, like a trade BYOB dinner.
Oh wow, and those are the best dinners.
But that was 11, 12 years ago or something. So to me, I was super fresh. I didn't know I hadn't started the business yet, and I was just blown away. But like, I didn't know what to say. Like I stayed in my in a corner and didn't talk to anybody because I didn't want to look like an idiot. Everybody was comparing tasting notes and stuff, and to me, it was just like I was discovering sherry, and the two bottles killed it. And those two bottles were Equipo Navazos. I was gonna go to Spain to visit just for like a week of vacation. I asked Levi if he could find a way to get me in touch with these dates because I wanted to visit. I had no fucking clue what Equipo Navazos was. Like I thought it was like a place and you would go. So I was like, hey, I want to go to that bodega, and just met those guys. We had a blast. We had a couple good dinners, drank a bunch of sherry. I had brought them one of the single cask Armagnac, the cognac that I was doing at the time. They gifted me a bottle of Spanish brandy that they had, and I realized that they like booze. They like cigar too. Like you would dig that. They have a lot of aged cigars. And we started talking, and I was like, all right, cool. Well, you guys are into booze. I didn't realize that. I thought you were just doing sherry. And I was like, no, we're collecting booze. We like whiskey. We like this. We like that. We started to talk, and I said, I've been doing single cask cognacs for a little bit now. And like it didn't happen right away. So like after I stayed in touch, I realized they were important people. I liked them, and we started to discuss. And after a few years in business, I said, hey, would you be interested in potentially doing something like a joint project where we would pick cask and we would show people what real Spanish brandy tastes like. So we started this way, but that was like 8 years ago. So single cask, full proof, no additives, Spanish brandy in 375s.
I remember those. That was a big deal when they were the little minis.
That was I really liked it.
Well, what's fun about that project, though, Nicolas, is that it's the opposite of everything else. Like, when you look at a single malt whiskey that's aged in sherry, no one fucking asks what house was the sherry Oloroso cask from. It's the opposite. They want to know where it was distilled, and then what type of sherry. Was it PX? Was it Fino? Was it Oloroso? The Navassos Palazzo stuff is the opposite. We're not really telling you about the spirit. We're mostly telling you about the sherry.
No, it's the sherry. It's
the sherry. It's the opposite.
The thing is how a great cask of sherry will impact the flavor profile of the stuff.
Right.
And so, 8 years ago, nobody really gave a shit. But now it's starting to shift a little bit. So yeah, there's that, but a lot of people may not, that there's a huge difference between a regular sherry cask. You say, well, my whiskey is aged in sherry cask. Sure. It's a cask that I average sherry in it for 2 years. The sherry was dumped and that became a sherry cask.
Right.
Well, there's the legit boiler sherry casks. We know where the sherry casks come from. We know what sherry was in there. We know that the sherry stayed in that cask for 60 years. We know it was emptied on a Monday and it was filled out with brandy on a Tuesday. That makes a huge difference. So that project started this way, and as we were slowly going from cellar to cellar trying to find cask of brandies, we realized that there were other cool stuff out there. So the rum was one of them. The first release, it took me 2.5 years to sell the cask, I think.
That's so crazy when I think about how widespread that brand is today and how much everybody loves it.
Now, the last cask, last year, we had the foresight to bring a cask that landed in New York March 30th, so like 15 days after the entire New York market had shut down because of COVID. So I was like, all right, cool. We're going to keep that damn cask in inventory forever. And we moved through it real fast. That was super. I don't know. It's super interesting to see the as time go by. It's just some things change. So I was happy that we're not going to keep that shit in inventory for years.
Well, that goes back to your credibility, man. When you have a reputation for picking really good stuff and for delivering on what you sell and for aligning yourselves with like-minded producers who care to the level that you care. I mean, that's really what people are after, right? Is people want to know that the people from whom they're buying their alcohol are as committed to the cause as you are. And this is to go on a side tangent now. This is the same reason why I've started smoking cigars, because Mission is a huge fucking cigar store. I had no idea, like hundreds and hundreds of different cigars at every store, and they're not online. And I want to start, digitizing this stuff and putting this on the website. But I'm not going to I would never buy a fucking cigar from somebody who doesn't smoke. It'd be crazy. It's like, what do you know? And so now I'm like smoking cigars every couple nights, trying to like figure out, what it is that we're doing so that when people ask me about cigars, I'm going to have to speak with some sort of credibility and some sort of understanding of the category.
But that's the thing. That's the thing that it's the thing that builds your credibility, and that we've been doing too, is that like you're not faking it. Like you didn't go out there looking, being like, all right, well, I got this target to reach on like cigar sales now, and so I don't really like cigars, but I'm gonna have to do it, and I'm gonna have to put on the smile and make it sound like I care. No, you're genuinely interested, and
right.
So now you're learning about it. It's a process, and when you're going to be talking about cigars to people, they're going to be they're feel it. They're going to feel it, and there's a big difference between faking something or trying to be salesy about it, and just like genuinely, like you lived it in your head, you care, you speak about it like with genuinely, I guess, and it translates. Like people have a very good bullshit detector. So it works. As long as we care, as long as we try to do the right thing, and as long as there is a logic behind what we do, I think that there will be a small audience who will be interested.
What are you most interested in right now from your standpoint? Like, what is it? Anything. It doesn't have to be alcohol related. Like, what are you most fired up about learning about right now in your world?
Could be anything, or it has to be booze.
Doesn't have to be booze. I know you and I are texting about cigars on the daily now. So is that what is that your new passion?
So, cigars. I'm definitely interested. Like I've been I discovered, so there's cigars and cigars and tea.
Tea.
Well, tea I started like a week ago, so I don't know shit about tea. I'm just like, friends of mine have sent me videos about how to brew stuff. I'm just getting the material necessary to like do the basic stuff. But like cigar, I was blown away in Spain like years ago with Eduardo Reya, one of the two, like 50% of Equipo Navazos. We were talking about before. Like this guy is in his 60s and he's been aging cigars. And he has cigars that are perfectly aged in humidors at perfectly good humidity. And he started in the mid-80s. And honestly, like the first time I started to smoke cigar, like people were just like, hey, this is, smoke a cigar. And I had no idea what that was. And it was exactly like you going to a party and somebody hands you hands you a glass and this is Merlot. And that shit most likely is going to be horrible. And that was my experience with cigars. And Eduardo pulled some aged cigars, and I realized that these things evolve like wine does.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's the fucking scary part. The scary part about wine for like customers is like, I'm buying and selling the wine admission, which is like my dream because I drink a lot more wine than I do spirits, and I'm having to explain to a lot of people that are new to the category that you're probably going to have to sit on this for 5 to 10 years. After spending $100 a bottle, you got to wait like another half decade, if not more. And that's people are like, what? Are you crazy? Like I'm not. I just spent all this money. I don't even get to enjoy it. It's like no, it's an investment. It's like investing in a bond. And when I went to, sorry, go ahead. No. When I went to Willet a couple years ago, and Drew Colsveen, who's the head distiller at Willet and one of the owners, he collects like vintage cigars. Like he's buying boxes from like the 70s and the 80s, and like he's not buying new tobacco that just hit the market. He's buying shit that's been in the humidor for 30 or 40 years, and that's just like when you realize that that's happening with cigars, it's just like, how do you even get started? How do you even get to that point? But I guess that's how other people feel about spirits and wine.
It's a matter of finding people who you trust, who are point you in the right direction. Like I literally during COVID, I've been put in touch with somebody who, like through booze, somebody who I started to talk with on a regular basis, or like text with on a regular basis about booze, just because we share this similar interest. Like there was nothing salesy, just exchanging. And at some point, this person said, "Oh, I've been collecting cigars for 30 years," and I'm like, "Oh, well, that sounds like a long time." And he's like, "Yeah," and I have like tens of thousands of cigars, and I'm like, "No shit, what are you doing with that?" And he's like, "Well, I just like it." And then open a box and like grab something, and I had this cigar, and I remember like I would taste it like 2 years ago when I smoked it, and he sent me a handful of things, and I was like, wow, there's no going back. There's like now I'm like, all right, we're gonna find some well aged things, and without spending an enormous amount of money. But it's really interesting, and it really is like the wine analogy is absolutely perfect. Like one of my friends gave me a bottle of Jaboulet, like one of the I think it's the Maison Bleue Hermitage.
Okay. Yeah, right. The Jaboulet.
And
I say it right because I speak French.
Of course, I had a Jaboulet. I had a Jaboulet, and 2016, and I wasn't thinking, and I was like, oh, it's I'd pay for it. I would have waited for an occasion because it's a pricey bottle, but it was free, and I said, fuck it, Tuesday I'm gonna open it. You could feel the potential, but that's pretty much it. Like you're like, all right, well, I should have waited 15 years. A lot of those cigars are like that. So cigar is something that I'm into. I want to discover it. The only thing is that it gets to me because I'm older and stressed out and sleep well. So I can't really like smoke and like I can't really drink anymore. So tea comes in where I can drink more tea during the day than I can smoke cigars. So I like tea is the new thing for now, I guess.
That's interesting. It's funny you say that too. Everything affects me more now that I'm older. And as somebody who smoked a pack of cigarettes a day for 10 years when I was 16 to 24, 25, the idea of like the nicotine thing can get to me too as well. Just like not even just the feeling of the nicotine, but like the idea that, oh shit, am I at danger? Am I doing something stupid to get, hooked back on something that it was so difficult to kick? And it's the same thing with alcohol too. You just have to. You have days when you overdo it, and you have days when you when you drink a little less or you abstain a little bit.
COVID is not helping because there's a lot less things to do. So essentially, I may be drinking wine more regularly than I should, or maybe more in quantity than I should, or both. And then if I start adding to that cigars, and so it's a little more it's a little too much. So that's when like tea comes in where it's the kind of like sort of the healthier option, I guess. Like,
unless it's super caffeinated, are you like into super caffeinated teas like green teas, or are you doing decaf?
I asked several people, like somebody who worked with me and a couple of friends, so they sent me a lot of recommendations and a bunch of tea to try. And I've poor enough sleeps that right now I'm staying away from the caffeinated stuff at night because I don't need that.
Right.
But I don't have a plan. Like right now, what I'm doing is I'm discovering like how different brewing time affect the flavor profile of the thing, which is really, honestly, it's amazing. I mean, it sounds stupid, but I was just like taking a tea packet and putting it in a thing and like forgetting about it, and that shit would be nasty. And now you're like, wow, this is, you measure the amount and you count 4 seconds and then you drink that, and I'm like, wow, really? And that's so I know nothing about it. I'm really I'm a week into it, so it's really probably nothing.
Well, this whole thing is sped by. I try to keep these at like 22 minutes max, and we're at 35, which shows you that it's just two guys having a conversation who like to talk about interesting shit. I don't know how interesting it was for anybody else, but it was great to catch up with you, to see your beautiful face.
Anytime. Thanks for having me. Very much appreciate to see you. Hopefully, I will see you face to face. When the air will be safer to breathe.
I get the shot on Friday, so it's one step closer. Right. Yeah.
Cool.
So there it is.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Be well. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Nick.